Good morning. It is 8:12 a.m. on Friday, blah, blah. November 6th, 2020. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I've been up for a little bit. This is 5 more minutes. I actually went ahead and I put my contact lenses in and I got myself ready to go outside because I'm going to do a morning grocery run just to pick up a few things. I'm doing better. Like, uh, part of that is definitely the fact that at least right now, even though things haven't been officially called, the presidential election is looking good for Biden, which is certainly my preferred outcome. Um, so that some of my anxiety from earlier in the week when it seemed like that might not happen is obviously eased, even though obviously nothing's final yet, and there's always the possibility for additional uh, messiness. We'll just have to see, but certainly the last 2 nights I slept a lot better than Tuesday night, and that's good because Tuesday night was not good. But yeah, so up and this morning certainly kind of moving a little bit slow, but not like out of a really like draggy way, but just kind of just like, you know, so it just feels like a sort of a lazy, calm morning. Rocket is a very sweet little dog and did a little bit of extra cuddling this morning, which is good, definitely good. Um, yeah, so last night I watched Spirited Away because it and Coco are the next two movies that Mike and I are discussing for watching 100 movies. Spirited Away is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite films from one of my favorite filmmakers, Hayao Miyazaki, and it is just a treasure of a movie. I think one of the things, like it's a, I've talked about this before, but it's certainly one of the biggest inspirations for the world of Seikamian in which I based my So Many Levels campaign, and we'll be continuing it. Um, and just the, having a lot of different, um, there's so many things in that movie that are sort of unfamiliar to Western eyes. Like, obviously, it's a Japanese film, and so it incorporates a lot of Japanese folklore and sort of fairy tales, that sort of thing. Talking about spirits and that sort of element of the culture, and and the Shinto religion, right? And so there's a lot of that that does not just fall down on the standard, European fairy tale, you know, uh, sorts of, mythology, right? So a lot of it feels strange in that regard, but and so it has just this very lush, detailed, well realized setting that includes so many interesting and fresh elements. But then there's also such another thing that's, I think, more common in some of these, like, whether it's anime or just other, um, media properties. But this is true of a lot of Miyazaki's films, is that there's not really unambiguous villains. Like, you can have certainly characters that are kind of an antagonist, but it's less common in a Miyazaki movie to have a character that's just the bad guy and that's it. Because any character, certainly, we have Yubaba and for that matter, her sister Zaniba in Spirited Away, where they are clearly powerful witches and are willing to do things that we might consider bad things to serve interests that are a little bit unclear to us, sometimes just about greed. but then they also will occasionally do sweet sentimental things or keep a promise to, even though it's not in their best interests, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of interesting complexity there. But I think what moves me the most every time I watch it is really just Chihiro's journey throughout the movie, because we start with her very sort of sullen and doesn't want to do anything. She's grumpy about having to move. She's not open to the new places she might have to go. She doesn't like anything. They find her parents find this abandoned theme park, and I think that it's interesting that there's an element to which part of her resistance to going inside and following her parents in there is a little bit of her not, like being scared, not wanting to try new things and all of that. But I think there's also an element to which, you know, the fact that she's a kid and she's maybe in tune with some of these things warns her of some of the danger there that her parents are just drawn in by and don't realize, don't recognize. But then over the course of the movie, Chihiro just realizing that strength and courage are required of her, and her rising to the occasion. And even though she's not used to putting in hard work, she does so nonetheless. She does so with insight and elbow grease and bravery, and just being willing to go and do the hard thing, but also being willing to see past something being initially scary and to recognize that there's might be something deeper there that's worth protecting. And yeah, so I love that movie. It's so good. Streaming on HBO Max, if anyone didn't know that already, that all the Miyazaki movies are there. It's great. So I'm going to leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.